Hey y'all, hey. We are back for another review of Tyler Perry's Sistas. We are in season 1, episode 20, so let's jump right into it. So we are in the wake of Sabrina finding Maurice in the bushes, bleeding. And I was mistaken in some of the details in the last episode because Maurice is in front of the bank. Alonzo, the musclehead guy, asked Maurice to meet him outside of the bank, not at the club, which is why nobody could find him. So, when Maurice attacked him and beat him up, he was outside of the bank. So he was in the bushes this whole time, injured, the whole time everybody was looking for him. Just to clear that up. All right, so she's hysterical and, she's yelling and she's on the phone with 911 and she's so hysterical, she's so out of it, she's not, very much help with trying to get the lady information, trying to make sure, the lady's asking her, is he breathing? Kind of ask her, standard questions that someone would ask if you call 911 just to get as much information as possible. But she does calm down enough to let the lady know that he feels cold and he's not responsive, which is not a good sign at all. So, so Maurice is in pretty bad shape and hopefully, this gets better as the episodes go on. Zach is back at Karen's and he's finally going down her car to get his phone that he left in there. And they're arguing again because he found the preacher at her house yet again. And we learned that he was sitting outside all night. So if he wanted to have a confrontation, he could have because, he was just sitting out there waiting for whatever he was waiting on to happen. But he was sitting outside of the apartment all night. He saw that the pastor's car never left. And so he's upset about that, which, given all those clues and you with you being on the outside, that is inaccurate. That would be a fair assumption. However, you are wrong again, Zach, unfortunately. So they're arguing again and he's mad at Karen and he gets so upset. So he takes the typical way out and well, not typical, but he takes the angry way out of the situation, tells her, is this what your friends do? All y'all sleep around with married men? Because we know Andy has slept with married men, and so has Danny, from what I was able to deduce from the other episodes. And Karen has supposedly been with a married man under the assumption that she's been with the preacher in Zach's eyes. So he tells him, all your friends do is sleep with married men and they're always in your head. He calls them all kind of bitches and hoes and whatnot. Then he throws, and she asks for her keys back and tells him, just go. We're good. Don't worry about it. And he throws her keys at her. He doesn't mean to, but they hit her in the forehead. And she's like, Academy Award winning, oh my God, Zach, you hit me in the head. Get out before I call the cops, blah, blah, blah. He didn't mean to. He was very apologetic. He just, he was giving her keys back, but he threw them a little too hard. A little too high also, because forehead from a tallest. All right, cool. So she grabs a knife and she's keeping him at bay, like, stay away from me. I'm calling the cops. So she calls the cops. And then in the next breath she says, never mind, because he's leaving. And I am okay. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that because, what else do y'all want to talk about at this point, right? Right. All right, so Andy is back at the precinct to see what's happening with Gary after they arrested him. And she runs into Jasmine. She runs into Jasmine and the private investigator. They're there, and Jasmine's like, I knew you were going to be here. And she tells her that Gary's the reason you lost your law degree. He did that on purpose to make sure he could keep you at home, to keep control of you, all that good stuff, which, she may have a point, but she may also be nuts, because I do remember when Gary was at Andy's house a couple episodes ago, he wasn't really upset at the fact that she was potentially losing her law degree. He was actually happy because he was like, okay, now I can take care of you, or, I can take care of you, you could just stay home, and that is not Andy's plan for her life. So there may be some truth in that. That may be an underlying, plot that Gary has had this whole time, but we'll see what happens. All right, so she fires the detective and tells her, how did they get away from you anyway? You're fired. So she fires the detective right there on the spot. And while she's standing there, she tells him that, Andy, I don't know why you're here because Gary's not getting out today. Not today at least. And she walks out. And the detective is like, the private investigator is like, well, I'm fired, so I'm just going to, throw you a bone because I want to sleep with you. I like you. Basically, she liked Andy, so she's going to do anything it is in her power to protect Andy, which is what she has been doing this whole time, even though she's working for Jasmine. Right? So, she tells Andy that the reason Jasmine was there today because she wanted to file a police report against Gary, also saying that she had bumps and bruises and scrapes on her, that she had been beaten up the night before. Well, that can't be true because Gary was at Andy's house the night before, so that can't be a story. So the private investigator also lets her know, like, hey, she realized that Gary wasn't home last night, so she couldn't use that story, so she changed her story to say at some other point, some other day, or some earlier time. And so basically she's trying to take Gary down with Andy. So I guess that plot has changed at this point. Yeah, so she says that he beats him up, that she changes her story. And the detective's like, okay, basically, fuck it, I'm fired, so I'm just gonna throw you a bone and tell you that you need to look into Jasmine and Morris's relationship because there's more to that. Which has definitely been on my mind as well, because what is Morris's relationship to Jasmine, and why is it so important to the fact that when he got into it with Gary, you were at the precinct cleaning blood off of him, and concerned about his well-being and not Gary, considering the last time y'all were seen together, y'all were working it out and all this good stuff. So, yeah. And she gives her a list of the names of 3 women that she needs to go talk to get information about the whole Morris situation. Okay? So put a pin in that. Alright, so Andy is talking to Gary, and he immediately wants to know, hey, can you bail me out? And she's like, okay, well, you don't have a bail yet, so let me try to get ahead of even having to bail you out. Let me talk to the judge. I know a judge, and he's my good friend, and let's see what he can do to kind of help us out. And instead of him being concerned about, okay, she knows somebody internally that can get me out of jail, he's worried about, he's more interested in knowing, how do you know the judge? And why is he such a ally for you? Why would he be willing to help you? And she's like, do you want him to help you, or do you want to stay in jail until you get a bail, basically? And he's like, no, it's okay. She's like, no, what's the problem? And Gary's like, okay, they were telling me that there's a couple judges that like you, and they're nice. You were flirting with one of the judges, which is why you can kind of get a favor from them. The them being Morris and Jasmine. Sir, first of all, we have already solidified the fact that Andy got where she is because she worked for it. Considering y'all have been sleeping together for a very long time, which I'm presuming to be years at this point, and Gary, you should have seen her studying at some point, or taking some law classes, or because she just got to that firm and that's her first job out of law school, if I'm not mistaken. So you should have seen her studying and taking the bar and passing the bar and doing all these milestones while you were in and out of her bed. So still don't know where you get the notion that people are just giving it to her because she's cute. Okay, maybe that's a underlying issue in some people's minds, but I also think she worked for it, so let's just stop saying that. But yeah, so he's more concerned about her relationship with the judges and what Morris and Jasmine has said, even though she's the only person there to bail your ass out of jail. Perfect. All right, so Sabrina's at the hospital looking for Maurice, and Calvin just happens to be sitting a few seats down, and he looks over and he sees her and he tells her, you need to stop following me. It's about my dad right now. I don't have time for your games or whatever, Sabrina. Just leave me alone. And so he assumes that she's there to talk to him or for his sake, and when in actuality she's there to talk to Maurice. So the cops show up and they're asking him about Alonzo, and she's telling them, there's footage at the bank. I have his bank information. I don't know his last name, but I'm giving y'all everything I can to help y'all find the guy that did this to Maurice. And as he walks off, Calvin is sitting in the back, and he's overheard the conversation, and he says, you know, what's wrong, Maurice? What happened? You know, basically just getting the details, and you know, he's apologetic, and you know, he lets her know, don't beat yourself up about it. You know, Maurice is gonna be okay. He's a fighter. You know, it's gonna be all right, basically. And he says he'll come back and check on Maurice later. So he goes off to see his dad, wherever his dad is. In the meantime, Danny shows up to the hospital, and she feels guilty because Sabrina had invited her to the drag show the prior evening as well. And she ain't felt like going. She didn't want to be bothered with that. So, you know, she feels guilty about that part. And Sabrina tells her, you know, no, it's not your fault, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So, Calvin comes back over, and you know, he's basically kind of berating Sabrina, like, you know, how did you let this happen? Why did you give his number? But like, basically just kind of trying to get on her about how Maurice ended up where he is. And what he also says in this rant is that Sabrina's level of judgment is on the same level as Alonzo's. Now that out of all the reasons Miss Calvin has been given Sabrina, that was a good one, because she seems to think what Alonzo did was just atrocious, but she doesn't equate that to how she treated Calvin based on her assumptions with her and her friends. And he lets her know, like, hey, you know, you were just as judgmental and presumptive about who I was as Alonzo did to Maurice. Now, I don't think they're on the same level as you didn't beat him to within an inch of his life, but yeah, just as judgmental. You didn't bother to get the answers, or you were never satisfied with the answers. So I definitely agree with Calvin on that, Sabrina. So I'm gonna need you to do better. That's all I got for you on that. So yeah. Sabrina goes back to check on Maurice, and Danny's just sitting out in the lobby, and Zach calls her and asks, can he live with her again? Because he hit Karen in the head, and now he ain't got a place to stay. Danny reluctantly says yes yet again, so Danny and Zach are living together. Wonderful. Don't know how that's going to work out with the cowboy, but we'll find out. Alright, so all the other girls are on the way to the hospital, but first Andy is headed to Morris's law office. She has to stop. She has something she needs to confront him about. So she busts into the office and tells Morris that she's not like the other women that he has played this whole, you know, this whole drug rape scenario with. She's not like that. She has evidence, and he needs to drop everything. And then she's going to go public with the information that she has. And does he want more women to come forward, or does he just want to drop everything, including the lawsuit and everything that relates to Jasmine and Gary? And of course, his back is against the wall, so he don't know what else to do. So he's calling Jasmine, and in the meantime, he's on hold. And she asks him, you know, like, were you really going to rape me? And he claims that he wasn't, but I ain't willing to believe it. It was a little too believable for me, brother. You was finna rape this girl, and you was finna make her feel like trash, and whatever you were setting out to do on that evening. So, go play in traffic. Blindfolded. Alright, so, in giving him that ultimatum, I found it funny that, she kind of turned one of his initial statements back on her, because he said, you know, the judges are only on your side, and, you know, kind of ruling your favor in your cases because they like you and they think you're cute. And so she says, you know what, if I need to go to a judge, don't you think I have a little bit of prejudice, because don't they think I'm cute? Right, according to what you said, they think I'm cute and they like me. So do you really want to go against me and the judges that think I'm cute? So he's like, oh, basically, you know, his face is like, oh, goddamn, like, she might be onto something. So, you know, he has to call Jasmine to cancel everything, including the charges against Gary, and he's just flabbergasted at the fact that she is really likes Gary, and she's going this far to clear his name. Yeah, so once she gets all the answers, and this whole time Jasmine's phone is on hold, or whatever the issue is, and she answers the phone. Jasmine answers the phone, hey baby. Knowing that this is more that's calling, she answers, hey baby. And Andy is looking like, checkmate, bitch. Like, I got all I needed to know about the situation. So she has checkmate both of them. Hopefully all of this is good and it's done for, and we will see how that plays out. Alright, so the other girls finally get to the hospital, and Danny briefs them on what's happening while Sabrina's in the back, looking in on Maurice, trying to figure out what's happening, all that good stuff. And we're back at the hospital, and Sabrina runs into Calvin's dad, the one that she met that day, the one that is not sick, that kind of told her that Calvin really likes her and she needs to not be so judgmental, give him a chance, blah, blah, blah. She meets that dad and she asks if the other dad is okay, but she learns in that meeting in the passing in the hallway that he has stage 4 cancer and it's not looking very good. And, he just kind of reiterates why Calvin helped him sneak his dad out of the hospital. He was upset that Calvin did do that, but he was happy that, he kind of got that last hurrah within one of his favorite places with his son. So that was a good conversation. However, Calvin comes out of his dad's room and he's just on fire, and he's upset that Sabrina's talking to his dad, and his dad is not as upset at Sabrina as he is. And, so he kind of shoos her away, and so him and his dad are back in the room with his sick dad, because we know that Calvin has 2 dads. We've already established that. And Calvin is in there, and he's arguing with the dad that isn't sick, and the dad that is sick just lets him know, like, the dad that isn't sick lets him know, like, hey, if you have a chance at love, take the chances, take the risks, whatever it is, because I do regret a lot of the times that I was kind of petty with your dad, worrying about him being messy and all these other things that don't matter in the grand scheme of things. Like, if you have a chance, go for it. I think she really likes you. I know that you like her, so just give it a shot. And then his dad that is sick, kind of his last words to Calvin, well, what will later be his last words to Calvin are, go, just go to her. I'm fine. Go to her, talk to her, figure it out. This is your chance at love. I believe it. Go be great. So that was, whew, I almost shed a thug tear, but I was like, I ain't gonna cry. But that's what happened. So he's on the lookout for Sabrina. He's gonna go find her and kind of figure this situation out. Alright, so we're at the last few minutes of this episode, and we're still at the hospital, and Sabrina's telling the other girls that she feels horrible, about what happened to Maurice, because she sort of kind of has a role in it ending up like that, and that everything is her fault. And everybody's, telling her that that's not the case. Danny is also in her bag about the cowboy and the fact that he's not calling or texting her back. And then Calvin shows up and he wants to talk to Sabrina. And Danny's like, I'm not having it. I don't like your attitude. I don't like how you're talking to her. So what do you want? I don't want to talk to you. So Sabrina does dismiss Danny, and her and Calvin get to finally have a come to Jesus eye-to-eye conversation so that they can level with each other. And she tells him, I like you, you like me. Let's figure it out. The only thing that Calvin wants is time to kind of come to terms with them being back in a good space. And, she tells him, okay, that's fine. That's all I can ask for, and I'll be waiting in the meantime. It's just, no ma'am, I wouldn't be waiting around, but let's just play this love story out. She'll be waiting in the meantime. Okay? So, as they are talking, they're kind of back in a good space, just trading niceties. His dad that is healthy comes in and he's distraught and he's tears everywhere, and he tells Calvin that his dad with stage 4 cancer has passed away. In the few moments that it took him to leave the hospital room and go find Sabrina, his dad has passed away. That is sad. Like, I mean, they left on good terms, but just to know, like, you walked away a few minutes ago and now your dad is gone forever. Yeah, that was, yeah, I might probably shed a little thorough tear on that one. I ain't gonna hold you, but. So his dad has passed away. So in episode 21, we're going to be kind of dealing with the fact that his dad has passed away and Maurice is still not responsive in by way of being awake, and Zach and Karen are not in a good space. Hopefully this legal stuff is over with Andy, so we will see what happens in the next one. But that has been my review for season 1, episode 20 of Tyler Perry's Sistas. I will catch y'all in the next one. Y'all stay safe out there, and yeah, take all precautions. Peace.